In November 2022, Mornington Peninsula Regional Gallery staged a very ambitious public art program. 15 leading Australian contemporary artists were commissioned to produce work responding specifically to 15 different sites on the peninsula. The exhibition was called Front Beach, Back Beach. My name's Jill, I'm the Education Officer at the Gallery, and I'm going to take you through the staging of the things that are left over from all these amazing artworks that we've had here at the Gallery over our summer show. Come on in. So the themes of the show are looking at all the different stories that have shaped all these places up and down the Mornington Peninsula. And some of them are contested histories, let's be honest. I think any site-specific work in any of Australia is going to have contested histories. And this show is inviting us to look in new ways and to think in new ways and to see these sites and stories from different perspectives. These are some of the pieces left over from an installation created by Hiromi Tengo. Hers was a playful intervention of these very colourful works installed in the very formal gardens of the historic house called Ballura in Mornington. Because they're bright and colourful and robust, and because Hiromi likes to invite people to interact with her works, these are really good ones to be the first pieces that you see as you come into the exhibition. They're very inviting and eye-catching. Vera Moller's work, made from recycled plastics, was installed underwater under the pier at Flinders. She was drawing attention to the beauty and wonder of a marine life that lots of people don't get to see if they don't go snorkeling. They've been installed to look a bit like underwater pillars. That's also her sphere you can see up on top of the wall there. A little surprise for you to find, just as if you're exploring underwater. These other objects are by an artist called Lisa Warp, an Indigenous artist who designed, and we had constructed 3 magnificent paragliding sails. That's them on the floor there. They were too big to display in their entirety, and the video shows them being flown by professional paragliders. This work by Shane McGrath of a big old-fashioned tent and old-fashioned camping gear is referencing the many generations of European people who have enjoyed camping on the Mornington Peninsula. As many of the works were performances, people can watch the videos of them here on this screen, sitting on the old-fashioned camping chairs. When we go into the next gallery space, we've installed a very eye-catching work here by a group of Indigenous artists who are drawing attention to the fact that not only was Sorrento not a very good place for the first European settlement, perhaps it also wasn't a very good place for a colony at all. These colourful works on the floor are contemporary message sticks. To our right is a video screen showing a recording of a work by Tari McKenzie. She installed colourful sheets of vinyl into the window spaces of the gunnery right at the very tip of Point Nepean, turning a very ugly, squat building into something beautiful. So here we are in the largest gallery space with a number of works surrounding this central commanding structure. This one is referencing early European settlement here on the Mornington Peninsula, and you can see it needed its own information panel just next to it, as it was too confusing to have it on the wall. It would have been too hard to find. You can also see that the back wall has been painted black. This gives visual interest and contrast to the whole room, and also provides a good colour for a projection work on the back wall. Immediately to our right is this work here talking about the story of when Harold Holt disappeared, the Prime Minister at the time of Cheviot Beach, and the conventions of newsmaking and storytelling. This work here is by Marie Clark, an Indigenous woman. These were installed on trees at Wonga, which is Arthur's Seat, and they have people and place names written on them. And she invited us to wander amongst the trees and to repeat the words out loud and to join her in keeping her language alive. Her work was called Remember Me, and we have the sign that was strung up between the trees, and also a collection of all the other calico pieces that were on the trees are here displayed. You'll notice that these and quite a number of the other works are really quite vulnerable. Nothing is behind barriers, and there aren't any signs saying don't touch this and don't do that, or there's few of them. This is the way that the aesthetics that we prefer at this gallery. We want people to feel welcome and comfortable and free to look at the works, and we try and rely on people's good judgment and knowledge not to be touching works in the exhibition. These are various elements that were part of a performance staged in the mangroves in Western Port Bay, talking about the patterns of the rhythms of the tides and the light. The video that you saw in the foyer at the beginning has further detail of that. The actual pieces that are here in the gallery are quite enigmatic. You need to be watching the video to make a lot of sense of this work here. This artist set up a studio in one of the quarantine buildings at Point Nepean, and he works with fluorescent tubes and made a spectacular tower of light. It was meant to be part of this closing ceremony, but unfortunately it rained that night, and so it couldn't be staged. Lucy Bleach made a huge ice block at the Pines at Shoreham. Inside it was a pine chair that you can see, and also on the right, all of those rocks were also embedded in the frozen ice that took about a week to melt. She was talking about early European uses and abuses of the natural resources of the place and how that's affected how it is now. Her sketchbooks and preliminary drawings were on display here. As you can see, once again, without any covering, people were free to look at these and to leaf through them if they chose. These photos are documentation from a bus trip you could go on, where you didn't quite know where you were going or what was happening, and strange things happened to you along the way. These artists were talking about what it's like to be part of a minority in society and to be made to feel weird and strange because you don't fit in with everyone else. And the headphones are so that people can sit and listen to some of the stories and playlists and interviews that you could download and listen to as you drove around between the various sites. And you can see another one of Vera Moller's works here on the wall to add visual interest and an element of surprise and discovery for people as they wander the exhibition. So, 15 different artists, 15 different sites, 15 different ways of using art to tell stories, 15 different materials and processes, and 115 different inspirations and ideas for us to think about. Thanks for watching.